Alright, what's up guys? Got another video of what if Obi Wan Kenobi was framed for the Jedi Temple bombing. So if you like this type of content, then be sure to subscribe for more what if / fanfics, lore, comics, reviews, video essays, and just all things Star Wars. But with all that out of the way, why don't we just dive right on in. Alright, so the story starts during the Clone Wars when Anakin and Ahsoka are called back to investigate the Jedi Temple bombing. Yoda and the Council saw this as a more pressing matter than in the original timeline, so they put Obi-Wan on the case as well, as they thought a council member would help figure things out. The three Jedi would investigate the hangar with Russo ISC, a crime scene analysis droid, and they would discover a connection to a worker named Jakar Bomani, but after investigating they would find the link to Jakar's wife, Letta. Obi-Wan would question her and find all of this suspicious. Letta would be taken into custody as the one responsible, but Obi-Wan would have his doubts. He would go to visit Letta and question her involvement, and learn that it was a Jedi who gave her the nanobombs to put into Jakar. But just as Letta tells Obi-Wan this, she would be force choked to death in her cell on camera, with Obi-Wan confused trying to save her. Commander Fox and the Coruscant Guard would come in, and Obi-Wan would be charged with Letta's death as he was the only one in the cell. Kenobi would try to convince Fox that someone else was responsible, and being a Jedi Master, this may cause Fox to investigate a bit more, but he would still be put into another cell regardless. However, time would pass and Obi-Wan would be let out of his cell and would try and find out what was happening, only to find his lightsaber and a group of dead clones, all making it appear as if he had escaped and murdered them. The prison was put into lockdown and Obi-Wan knew someone else was responsible, and he had no choice but to try and escape to find them. Anakin and Ahsoka would hear about Obi-Wan and would try and do everything to get inside, but Fox and the Coruscant Guard wouldn't let them in. Kenobi would escape and go to the lower levels of Coruscant. Barriss in the meantime would contact Ahsoka saying she wanted to help Master Kenobi, and she gave Ahsoka the location of a secret warehouse. Ahsoka secretly sent the coordinates to Obi-Wan saying it was from a friend. Kenobi along the way would run into Ventress and the two would flirt a bit, but after explaining everything, Ventress would agree to help Kenobi look for the warehouse. Once they found it, they parted ways and Ventress was blindsided by Barriss and had her lightsaber stolen. As Kenobi explored the warehouse, he found crates of explosive nanodroids. But he was attacked by Barriss and the two engaged in a duel. Kenobi thought this was Ventress, but he wasn't sure as the attacker had her lightsabers, but the form and her fighting style didn't seem the same. Obi-Wan blocked every attack easily and was about to overpower Barriss, except the Coruscant Guard showed up, distracting the Jedi Master, allowing Barriss to escape unnoticed. Kenobi tried to explain everything, but with him at the location and crates of nanodroids, it pinned him as the prime suspect. Anakin and Ahsoka managed to catch up, but as Skywalker looked into his master's eyes, he saw something different: sadness and distrust. Obi-Wan used a massive force push to send everyone flying back and created a dust storm with nearby debris, and once the smoke cleared, Anakin looked around in sadness as his master was gone. Anakin knew Obi-Wan couldn't be responsible for this, and Ahsoka felt that as well. Kenobi had no choice but to go on the run to continue investigating on his own, and Obi-Wan Kenobi was now a prime fugitive and everyone was on the lookout. Anakin and Ahsoka worked with Fox and the Coruscant Guard to find Obi-Wan, but deep down, Ahsoka felt as if something wasn't right, and she came to the realization that Barriss was the one who gave her the location. But as Ahsoka tried to tell Anakin, he rushed off with Fox, Cody, and Rex and confronted his master. Skywalker yelled at Obi-Wan to turn himself in so that they could figure all this out. Kenobi sighed as he had faith in the system, whether that be the Jedi, Senate, or the courts, so he surrendered and was taken into custody. Obi-Wan was brought before the council and revoked of his council seat and was expelled from the Jedi Order. This angered Anakin, but Obi-Wan saw it as the right choice, trying to understand it from their point of view, but deep down, he felt as if he had been betrayed by the very order he swore his life to. The trial of Obi-Wan Kenobi was held, with Palpatine at the helm, as he saw this as the perfect opportunity to push Anakin to the dark side. Padme represented Obi-Wan, and if he was convicted, Obi-Wan would be executed. Anakin was ready to kill everyone who stood in between him and freeing his master, but Kenobi told him to stand down. But Ahsoka told Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme about Barriss, and Skywalker and Tano went out to confront her. Barriss caved in and she attacked the two Jedi with Ventress's lightsabers, but even though she was fast and agile, Ahsoka blocked her attacks and kept up with her speed as Anakin overpowered her. He slammed her into a wall and began force choking her, but stopped when Ahsoka told him to calm down and that they needed her alive. Barriss would be taken into custody and taken to the trial of Obi-Wan, where she would confess that she was the one responsible. Barriss would be taken in and Obi-Wan would be freed, but the council would invite him back into the order and back onto the council, but Obi-Wan thought about everything and deep down, he knew his decision. He declined their offer and left the Jedi Order. Anakin tried to stop Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan talked to his apprentice. Anakin, I am so proud of the Jedi you've become, but we must all walk our own paths. Anakin tried to convince him to stay, but Obi-Wan shook his head and he left Anakin and the Order, and Skywalker felt this to his very core. This was the man who raised him like a father, who treated him like a brother, and taught him everything he knew. And in his darkest hour, the Jedi were nowhere to be seen. This caused Anakin's perception of the Order to darken and wonder if the Jedi was where he truly belonged. Ahsoka would be devastated by Obi-Wan leaving and her friend Barriss being responsible. She wouldn't leave the Order, but this would change her views of the Jedi as well. Obi-Wan would leave Coruscant and explore the galaxy to find his place. He would return to Mandalore to visit Satine's grave, and he would reunite with Bo-Katan. The events of Season 6 play out, and when Fives discovered the chips and is cornered in the warehouse, Anakin, Rex, and Ahsoka would try to calm him down. Anakin and Rex would have a hard time believing him, but Ahsoka would be the one to hear him out, and as Fives explained everything about the chips, he would be shot and killed by the Coruscant guard. Anakin and everyone else would move on, but Ahsoka felt like there was something more. She would start investigating on her own, secretly going to Kamino, but the Kaminoans would catch wind of this, and Nala Se would contact Palpatine saying that a Jedi was snooping around Kamino. The Chancellor wouldn't want any loose ends, so he decided to head to the planet himself to deal with it. Ahsoka would break into Nala Se's lab and discover a file on the inhibitor chips. But as she did, the alarms would blare and Ahsoka would send a secret message to the only person who would believe her, and a group of clones would break into the lab and surround Ahsoka, but a dark hooded figure would walk in and order them to leave. Ahsoka saw that they seemed to obey on command, and she felt the darkness from this individual, and when Palpatine revealed himself, she realized Fives was right all along. He was the one behind it all. The Chosen One's apprentice ignited her lightsabers and Palpatine simply laughed, igniting one crimson saber. Ahsoka launched forward and Palpatine easily blocked all of her attacks. He was simply playing with her, and Ahsoka realized how outmatched she truly was, but she couldn't give up. But the Sith Lord grew bored and cut off Ahsoka's hands and launched her back with the Force and proceeded to launch a torrent of lightning. Ahsoka writhed in pain and Palpatine laughed, but he launched forward, gutting Ahsoka, killing her instantly. Ahsoka's death would be covered up and would be labeled as a rogue Jedi trying to steal clone intel to leak to the Separatists, and this would only push Anakin to the dark side even more. But Palpatine would use this to manipulate Anakin even further, but Obi-Wan was the one who got Ahsoka's message, and after learning about her death, knew it was all true. With Kenobi and Mandalore, Cody took control of the 212, but Obi-Wan and Bo-Katan, along with the other Mandalorians on their side, were able to push back Maul. Obi-Wan engaged in a duel with Maul, and Kenobi was finally able to slay the Zabrak Sith once and for all. Kenobi would take the Darksaber and he would try and give it to Bo-Katan, but she would turn him down, saying he should keep it. And with this, Obi-Wan would become the rightful ruler of Mandalore. Kenobi would inform the Jedi Council about everything Ahsoka sent him, and that Palpatine was the one responsible. Anakin had just come back from the Outer Rim sieges and along with Mace Windu, killed Dooku aboard the Invisible Hand. Palpatine easily manipulated Anakin to his side, but the Council put their plan into action and knew it was time to arrest the Chancellor. The Council made it appear as if their members were scattered throughout the battlefield, but in all actuality, they all remained on Coruscant and confronted the Sith Lord. Palpatine was just about to tell Anakin he was the Sith Lord, but before he could, the entire Jedi Council walked in, igniting their lightsabers. Anakin asked what the meaning of this was, and Mace explained that Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Anakin didn't believe him, but it didn't matter as he was pushed aside. Palpatine had no choice and he launched lightning towards them, which they all blocked. He used this as a distraction to contact each clone commander, but the signal didn't respond, which he quickly learned was because the communication was being blocked. Palpatine realized his predicament and ignited his saber, launching forward. Anakin was awestruck as he watched the Chancellor cut down Stacey 10, Agen Kolar, and Shak T. The battle was fierce, but with Yoda, Windu, and the rest, Palpatine was eventually overpowered and on the floor, with multiple lightsabers in front of him. Anakin watched as Palpatine begged him to save him, and that he was the only one who could save his wife. Yoda felt Skywalker's hesitation as he reached for his lightsaber, and the Grand Master responded quick enough as he force-pushed Anakin against the wall, knocking him out. And Mace Windu finished off Palpatine, much to Yoda's dismay. Windu and Yoda would inform the Senate of everything and show Palpatine was responsible for the war as he played both sides. Mon Mothma would become the new Supreme Chancellor, and Yoda would help Anakin through his struggles and make him realize that Palpatine was a truly evil one. Grievous was found on Utapau and killed by Kit Fisto. The Separatist Council was arrested on Mustafar and the Clone Wars came to an end. But for his hesitation and almost turning to the dark side, Anakin and the Council thought it was both in their best interest if Anakin left the Jedi Order. He would see this as a sign and he would go to Naboo where Padme would give a safe birth to Luke and Leia. Obi-Wan would fall in love with Bo-Katan and the two would get married and she would eventually become pregnant. Anakin and Obi-Wan would visit each other often and their children would grow up together happy in a safe galaxy, but both were still saddened by the death of Ahsoka. But together with their families, they would look towards the future to an era of peace and prosperity in the galaxy. Alright, and that's the story. Kind of a more shorter one, but also more to the point. Like, it doesn't really drag on, especially with fights. I just kind of wanted to, like, get the point of the story across. I mean, it's plausible that Obi-Wan could be added to the investigation, and I feel that if you got close enough into it, like, he could have been potentially a suspect, or just framed for the bombing altogether. It was just a cool idea, and I wanted to see where I could take it, and I definitely feel that, like, Obi-Wan, you know, he would probably still be expelled from the order, and I mean, Bro would probably still be put on trial. But I feel like after all that was cleared up and Bro was freed and Barriss was the one who was discovered as the perpetrator, that, I mean, I think he would still lead the order. I've seen other videos done, and I just kind of wanted to put my own spin on it, but the parts that I definitely fuck with are like Obi-Wan actually just trying to escape and finding out what had happened, but also Ahsoka investigating the inhibitor chips and her death in this. But all this just culminates into fucking up Anakin's mind and turning him to the dark side, but in the end it all works out. But I mean, I enjoyed writing it, but if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below what other videos you want to see. Got some gameplay in the background with this one, got an early day tomorrow. You know, I kind of switch it up every now and then, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But if you want to see more from me, go check out my other channels, which will be linked down below. Go donate to the Cash App if you want to see a short or a video done. But with all that out of the way, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.